Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Certica Introduction here. We are using Zoom to host this meeting, which is a little different. We're more used to GoToMeeting, but we use Zoom for smaller meetings. But so hopefully we won't have a lot of technical issues. I do have this recording so that I can share with those who were not able to attend. If you have questions, there is a chat, and Donnie is here. She'll be monitoring the chat. And we also invite you just to unmute yourself and speak up in your microphone if you have any questions. So for our agenda today, I'm going to give a brief intro to Certica and the partnership. Then we've got about a 20-minute demo by the Certica team. After that, I'm going to hand off some resources to you that are going to help you in marketing this and selling and handling the transaction. And then we'll go over the MOU real quickly. I just want to point out some things, and then we'll answer any questions that you have. So we do have a statewide reseller agreement with Certica to sell the Navigate item bank. That means that anyone who wants to purchase that in Texas for access in Eduphoria will need to purchase it from an ESC. This is a great deal for districts because it's going to provide a huge discount for them over the price that it was in previous years. It's also going to give our districts and you an opportunity to bundle Navigate with TEEX Bank in order to give our districts even greater savings. And also, it's just great timing. Why now, and why is it great timing? Well, market conditions have changed quite a bit, and I'm not going to get too specific here, but some of the competition has merged and been bought out, so it's really a good opportunity for Certica to get this Navigate bank in the hands of our districts. Eduphoria has some major test authoring enhancements coming out soon. So they will be promoting that, marketing that, and training that, and so will we as ESCs. And one of the big features there is, when building a test, is pulling in items from an item bank. And so not only do we want them to have our TEEX Bank items, we now have an opportunity for them to have the Navigate items as well. And we know that our districts always want more items. They need more items. Sometimes they like to have a bank for central office use for the big district benchmark test, and they like to have another bank for teachers to use for teacher testing. So this is an opportunity for us to bundle and present them with more options for items. And the last thing I want to talk about, and the team from Certica is going to talk about this, but I wanted to highlight some of the things that the Navigate Bank offers. It is a very high quality bank with items aligned to STAR. It has kindergarten and first grade items as well as second grade. TEEX Bank, we really start in second grade. So this is our first opportunity to have some kindergarten and first grade items. They've got a lot more Spanish items, Spanish language items. And they have a lot of questions that are not just beginner level, they're a much higher difficulty type question. Okay, so with that, I want to introduce the team from Certica, Kenny Spain, Lindsay Merritt, and Jen Anderson. And Kenny is going to take it away and take control of the screen here and do a little demo.
All right, can everyone hear me? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Tell me yes.
We can hear you. Sorry,
oh, thank you. All right, good. Just mic check there.
I couldn't find my button. I couldn't find my mute button. We can hear you fine.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone. As Jim mentioned, I'm Kenny with Certica Solutions, and I want to thank you all for taking time to be here today. We're very excited about this new partnership and look forward to working more closely with each of the ESCs. While we'll be in direct content subsequent to today's call and in the very near future with each of the regions to discuss deeper levels of training and understanding around Navigate, today will be more about introducing those of us on the Texas support team and having a high-level look at Navigate. So you'll have a team of folks. I like to call us the Texas Triple Threat, ready to support you on the front lines and from all aspects of each of your Navigate conversations. So joining me today is Lindsay Merritt and Jen Anderson, and they're going to tell you a bit more about themselves and the roles they'll play. I'll do the same, and I'll kick it off. I'm Kenny Spain. My last name is just like the country and not to be confused with Stain, which has happened before. I've been in K-12 ed tech solely in Texas for about 15 years and sold supported programs like Leapfrog School, Think Through Math, and Dreambox. I've worked with many ISCs across the state and look forward to working in concert with those of you on the call today. And in this partnership, I'm going to be the primary point of contact and act sort of like an air traffic controller. However, I will have a focus in joint marketing campaigns around the state, and again, look forward to those conversations. So now I'll actually turn it over to Lindsay. Lindsay? Yep.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Lindsay Merritt, and I am the Director of Partner Services. It's nice to meet y'all. As Kenny said, I will be working closely with Kenny and with Jen to support all of the ESCs. I have been with the Item Bank for about 15 years since it began. Feel like I can provide some support to y'all in kind of working through some of the understanding of the bank, answering any questions you have, just being sort of a contact for support and assistance as you need it. And then also just working with Kenny on any sort of day-to-day things. So look forward to meeting you and working with y'all.
I guess I'll introduce myself. My name is Jen Anderson, and I have just recently started with Certica Solutions. A little bit about myself. I am a 25-year veteran teacher. I used to teach secondary science, everything from earth science all the way up through chemistry. Physics and I didn't get along very well, and I just recently retired from that job role and transitioned into sales of an item bank. And I used to work with a competitor of Certica, but I just recently, like I said, came over to the Certica Solutions team. And I am going to be selling and promoting the Navigate item to the districts in Texas. And a lot of my job will be coordinating with Kenny to ensure that we are all in sync and provide support to the districts as we move forward.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Jen. So a lot of you are probably asking yourselves, what is Navigate? So you can look at this slide in terms of what it is. Navigate is the largest collection of flexible, standards-based items designed for district or classroom use, and what it does. Educators can get can quickly create new assessments from expertly developed items. I'm sorry about the typo there, but educators can quickly create new assessments from expertly developed items, in other words. So that's just, again, a high-level explanation, sort of that elevator speech. It's obviously much more nuanced, and there are specifics that we will uncover as we continue to evolve this partnership across the state. Our goal is to provide a comprehensive formative assessment item bank for the highest impact at the best value. And how do we do that? Well, we invest greater than $1.5 million each year in expanding Navigate and updating it to reflect the latest learning standards, and in this case, the latest TEKS and STAR assessment standards. So speaking of STAR assessment standards, we have alignments that have been written to the TEKS for math, ELA, science, social studies, and economics. And we have standards that are assessed for the STAR exam. And Lindsay, if you could share a little bit about what we've got coming down the pipeline.
Sure. So we are aware that Texas is revising their ELA, or kind of in the process of finalizing revisions to the ELA and science TEKS, and we will have alignment to those updated standards available for this upcoming school year. So those should be available early summer, and they'll be ready for districts to use next school year.
Thanks, Lindsay. As you can see, Navigate on the screen now, Navigate for Texas offers more than 66,000 test questions just for the state. And so math K-12 is just shy of 24,000 items, 28,500 for ELA K-12. Science items 312, so including intermediate grades, 10,000 plus items. Jim mentioned Spanish translated items. We do have a robust amount of those at just shy of 18,000. And then social studies for secondary, 4,400 items. And as Jim mentioned, Eduphoria is making some changes to their platform. And right now we're very in preliminary stages of building the development. We're going to circle back with them and talk more about it this summer, but building the development potentially to render TEIs. And we have about 4,000 of those for the state. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I wanted to plant that seed, even if just in a preliminary way, to say, hey, look, we understand, where the state's going to move in the next handful of years. And so we want to be right there with that movement as well. Speaking of Spanish translated items, you'll see some of the characteristics here. Obviously, this is very important for Texas schools. And again, we have close to 18,000 of those items. And an important piece to remember here is that schools can translate, it's the very last bullet, schools can translate additional Navigate items and passages. So that's key. And that's actually a fairly unique feature to a bank, and one that we actually pride ourselves on in allowing teachers and schools to sort of manipulate for their audience, if you will. We provide learning metadata against the items with respect to DOK, Bloom's taxonomy, the actual TEK, the difficulty level, et cetera, and metadata against the passages with respect to the lexile measure, topic, keywords, content area, grade level, and many other aspects. Does anyone have questions about the metadata? Sometimes those pop up, so I just want to afford some time for it. And again, today's call and what you're seeing is, just very high level and sort of introductory to what's going to be arranged with each of the service centers in the very near future in terms of training. Navigate items are developed by Certica's team of subject matter experts using a multi-step methodology, and it includes fairly stringent item writing guidelines, quality checks, and multiple rounds of review to ensure items have the highest quality and rigor, more or less. So our item writers, content experts, and editors always adhere to the best practices, follow the principles of universal design, and always check for consistency, accuracy, and bias, et cetera. So in reality, we have 5 rounds of review per item. It's very stringent. And in each of those, we are reviewing for style, consistency, grammar, accuracy, bias, and sensitivity. No, that's a lot to take in all at once, but the point is obviously we consider it paramount importance to build the best content and the best items for Texas teachers and students. And so we feel that we have a process in place that allows us to make that proclamation, and we stand confidently behind it. So why navigate? We believe the 5 reasons that you see on the screen are exceptional value propositions, but one that is just as important is that it's what we do. And Lindsay, you stole my thunder a little bit. It's actually your thunder. But the present version of Navigate is, the present version of Navigate is rooted in one of the earliest item banks dating back to 15 years ago, and having grown from 4,000 items to 65,000 plus items today just for Texas. And so that's what I was going to say. In fact, on this call, we have a living legend, and Lindsay has actually supported this item bank almost since day one, almost sort of like the by proxy mother, and she's very familiar with it and the formative assessment landscape. And so, again, she'll be supporting, in lockstep what you guys are doing in terms of speaking to the ISDs and cultivating some dialogue around that. So it's just what we do, but again, we take development seriously. We allow, districts to create derivative items while licensed for Navigate. That sort of underscores what I said about Spanish translation characteristics. And so it's just an incredible tool being used to measure student understanding of concepts so that teachers can adjust their instruction in real time accordingly. Some of the districts that you might know around the state that are using Navigate are Houston ISD, Colina ISD, Ector County out west. I think that's region 15 maybe. Forgive me if I got that incorrect. And Irving ISD up in region 10. So we have a fair amount of folks currently using Navigate and have great results from it. And we're getting, very promising feedback. So in respect to the time, and I think we've got about 3 or 4 minutes, I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. Please keep in mind that going forward, we're going to coordinate times with each of the service centers to provide, like I said, a more dissected look at the items. And then as a result, this will provide lower level context and understanding and more specific talking points beyond what you've seen today. When we coordinate trainings at the service center level, we are going to take a look at the particular items. I just didn't want to get too far down that road today, knowing that we had a smaller time budget. So at this point, I'll just open it up for questions and answers.
Hey, Kenny, it's Donnie. Oh, why is that echoing?
Hey, Donnie, hey.
Sorry, we have a little bit of an echo. I'm going to ask a question on behalf of one of the participants. If you could go back to the translation piece, the question is, how can LEAs translate additional documents into Spanish?
Okay, right here. Yeah. So, Lindsay, could you field that question? Just because you have the deepest level of knowledge and understanding, being 15 years with the bank.
Sure. I think what that's intended to kind of cover is the fact that we do provide a number of Spanish materials, items, and passages, as Kenny spoke to. But if you did find perhaps a passage that was available in English, but you wanted to use it for your Spanish population as well, we would provide the rights to the district or the LEA to go ahead and translate that themselves, and that way they would have both versions. It's more of a just a granting of rights to go ahead and do that. Does that make sense?
I think that clears it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me try to summarize that. That LEAs and districts, if they have the Certica license, that gives them the license or right to translate those questions into Spanish. They would need to do them themselves, but they have the license to do that.
Right. There, for example, other products sometimes when they have ownership of different passages or whatnot won't allow you to translate or in any way create a derivative. We're just stating in the affirmative that we would allow you to go ahead and translate if there happened to be an English passage that you needed to use, or an item that you needed to use in Spanish. Exactly.
It's a great question. Any other questions?
So, hey, Kenny, this is Yvette from Region 20 in San Antonio with our team here. So,
Hey.
I guess, are the Spanish items, I know you showed your process, your internal process by which you create the items and vet them internally. Are the Spanish items a direct translation of the English, or are they created separately?
They are transadapted from English items. So they are not direct translations in the sense that we're not necessarily making a word for word translation. We're trying to adapt that so that it, logically makes some sense, and it, has readability and that kind of thing. But they are transadaptations of items that were originally English items. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I was just curious because oftentimes when we're looking at Spanish, you can't directly translate because the meaning doesn't cross the same way.
Right.
In all context, right? And so when you say there are 18, wait, what was the number of Spanish items? I can't remember.
That's at about 18,000, just under that. Yeah.
Are there more at the higher levels? Elementary at the higher levels, or is there a good amount in K and first?
That's a great question. We have a document that I can get to you directly that shows that balance, if I'm not mistaken, Lindsay, right?
We can, yeah. We started at grades, I believe we started at 3 through 5 and worked out from there. So I think you're going to find there are a significant number in the elementary grades, but there are a good sort of disbursement of them now at this point.
Thank you.
Sure.
So Yvette, I'll grab your contact information after the call from Jim, and then get that out to you, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to grab this back from Kenny here.
Everyone, thank you for the opportunity today.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. I'm glad you got to meet. I'm glad they got to meet you guys. We are going to work closely with Jen and Lindsay and Kenny, more as a team. We're not competing against each other. We're working as a team. If some of our districts are interested, we can utilize Jen and Lindsay and Kenny to provide more information, provide demos and things like that. So I'm glad you guys were able to join us and give us a quick little summary of the bank. So now I want to get down to some business, and I want to hand over some resources that we've developed for you guys for both purchasing and for marketing. To get those, you're going to go to our esccc.weebly.com site. Remember, this is an invitation-only site. You have to work at an ESC who is part of our ESCCC co-op, and this is where we share resources on Eduphoria, TeacsBank, and now Certica. So I'm going to flip over there real quick. And if you guys, if you don't have access to this, you can type that in the group chat, or you can email me and I can give you access to that. So we've rearranged this a little bit, and I've added a Certica link. And this has a lot of the resources that we need. I want to go over some of these with you. The first one is a purchasing flowchart. Since there are a lot of parties involved here, I thought we would try to visualize this in a step-by-step process. And I'll just walk through this with you real quickly. So first, you guys, the ESCs, will promote Navigate to your districts, just the way you promote your products and services. When you have a district that contacts you and are interested in Navigate, you can provide a quote in pricing and information, or you could get Certica involved, and we're going to flow that through Kenny. But they're going to be able to, as I said, provide demos and more information to your districts. And so if they do want to purchase it, they're going to go through your contract system, and you know, the way they would purchase anything else. I would advise that you wait for a PO on this. That's what I'm going to try with my districts. And I say that because, you know, something like Teeks Bank or Eduphoria that we know, you know, that they just renew every year, we will bill them after the fact on those, you know, sometimes into October or even November. But I think on this one, I'm going to ask for or wait for a PO before I actually turn the licensing on. That's really at your discretion, but I would just make sure that they are going to purchase that before you submit the license. And the last step is you're going to go into form space and you're going to submit a license request just like you do with everything else. So I think that's pretty simple. The next resource is a way to request a demo site for your districts. And this is just a Google form. You can fill this out. Actually, we want you as an ESC to fill this out, not the district. So you're going to fill it out on behalf of your district. And it's just requesting that said district has a login to the demo site. The demo site has all of the Certica items, and they can go in and peruse them as they wish. We are limiting that to a 10-day demo. We're going to see how that works out. That's going to be a 10, not business day, but a 10-day demo. And if that's not good enough for the district, you can shoot me a note and we can discuss extending that. But it is a great way for them to really dive into that content to see if they like it. The next one is a form to participate in the Navigate Advantage program. I don't want to dive into that right now. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But the Navigate Advantage program is a way for them to get a pretty significant discount on the Certica Navigate Item Bank. This form is how they would request it, the district would request it, and they would provide evidence that they qualify for that program. And the last thing is the marketing files and resources. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you're going to have two folders here. You're going to have one for purchasing and one for marketing. The purchasing folder has some of the things we've already discussed. It's got the little flow chart that we just looked at. It's got the Advantage Program Request Form, and then it's got a couple of other documents. This first one is really just a little handout that shows the pricing. You guys were already we already shared this pricing with you in the MOU, so I'm sure that you have seen it. The one thing I want to point out on this is really a one-pager, but it does have a second page if you want to share the Navigate Advantage program with them. So it does have 4 different options. The first 2 are navigate with the standard pricing. And if they do buy navigate plus TeaXBank from you, then the navigate portion is going to be $260 per student. We have some notes down here about that, but one of the important ones is that the TeaXBank purchase price is not included in this chart, and it mentions that the ESC may provide an additional discount on TeaXBank as well. So if you as an ESC want to bundle this like we are doing, then the district would get a discount off of the navigate price plus a discount on the TeaXBank price. And the second set of pricing is for that Advantage program. Once again, I'm going to hold that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. The other thing I have here is really just a sample quote form. If you want to take this and make a copy of it, put your logo on it, and be able to provide quotes to your districts. You probably already have your own form, but this is just an example for you. And in this particular example, I am bundling Navigate plus TeaXBank. Okay, so that's everything in the purchasing folder. Now let me go back into that. I'll go into the marketing folder. And here we have all kinds of things. We've got some good logos that you can use in your marketing. Here's that demo site request form. And then we get into a lot of the product documents from Certica. We've got a product sheet here. This is a good little one-page overview with item counts. We are going to be updating these and adding things to these folders as we go along. The one thing I want to note on this particular product sheet is on item types, it does mention those TEIs that Kenny discussed. TEIs is a tech-enhanced item. It's not just a multiple choice or numeric response or constructed response. It's actually an interactive test question for online testing. Kenny mentioned that they have over 4,000 of those, and those are included when districts purchase the bank. The problem right now is that Eduphoria's system does not currently handle those tech-enhanced items. So the districts really wouldn't have access to those. So I'm going to request that we get this updated and maybe get those TEIs removed from here, and so that districts' expectations are, or so that they purchase, that they get actually what they think they're getting, and not all these TEIs that they won't be able to use. Also, I keep closing that. Also in the marketing folder, we have a lot of different item coverage reports. So it's just an item breakdown by course and content area. I mean, course and grade level. So you can see the item counts there. You got one, you got the Spanish coverage. STAR coverage, so these are for the STAR tested courses. And then you've got DOK, which talks about that depth of knowledge and how the items are broken out there. So we do have a good bit of resources right now, but as I said, we will be adding more to these folders for you. There's also a little chart on how the items are developed. Okay, so once again, You would access that through our esccc.weebly.com site. And if you have, if you need access to that, please let me know, and we can work on that for you. Do you have a question?
Jamie wants to know what a demo site's going to be available.
Jamie asked about a demo site. Jamie, the demo site is available now. So if you want to fill out that form on behalf of some of your interested districts, then we will get a demo account sent over to you.
That's great.
Okay, so we've provided a good bit of resources for you, and as I said, we will be adding more. If there's anything you need, please reach out to myself, and I'll see what we can get for you. Okay, so now let's talk about the MOU. There's a few things that I highlighted that I want to point out, see if you have any questions on. So let me pull that up. Okay. So I'm going to point this out and point some things out. If you guys have questions about these, if I skip it or you need clarification, please let me know. Type it in the chat or just speak up. So as discussed, you're going to receive 10% of the license fee for new districts. Anyone that signs on from now on that's in your region, you'll receive 10% of that license fee. The operational guidelines, we kind of talked about the process to purchase this, but I'll hit on some of these things. You will promote the Certica Navigate item bank to your districts, and it lists a few ways. You guys may have more or less things to add to this list, but you'll just promote it along with TeacsBank and Eduphoria and some of those types of products that you offer. We talk about the demo side. We talk about Certica providing demos and being available for support and things like that. So this is an interesting one, F here. We have the statewide licensing agreement for Navigate through Aware, through Eduphoria Aware. Navigate is available in a couple other assessment systems. I don't know what those are off the top of my head, but just for example, let's just say Performance Matters has access to the Certica Navigate items. Well, if a district who has Performance Matters wants to purchase Navigate, they will not buy it through the ESCs. Okay, you're only buying it if it is an Eduphoria district. If they're not an Eduphoria district or a Performance Matters, but they want to buy the bank, they are able to buy the bank and buy the Eduphoria Aware Test Builder license at a cost of $250 per campus. This is just like a district who wanted TeacsBank but did not have Eduphoria Aware, but they still wanted to get access to the items in Eduphoria Aware. So we sold them the Aware Test Builder Edition. I think you guys, most of you guys probably have a district who does this, but I just wanted to clarify that. If someone is buying it for Performance Matters or for Illuminate, they will not buy it from the ESC. But if they're buying it for use in Eduphoria, even if it's just the Test Builder Edition, then they will buy that from you. Yes, the bank is only sold through the ESC. So if Certica gets a lead, or has someone that wants to buy it, the ESC is going to be the one doing that transaction. Existing Certica Navigate customers are not included in this agreement. There's a handful of those. I would say each ESC might have 1 or 2 districts who are a pre-existing Navigate customer. They will not be included in this agreement, and you are not obligated to offer bundle pricing. And you will not be involved in that transaction. They're purchasing it from someone else, not the ESC.
How will they communicate with us? How will Certica communicate? And are they going to be heavily marketing in their regions?
Okay, so a few questions here. Would you say that?
So how will Certica communicate with the ESC?
Okay, so those are probably going to go through me at first, and I will pass it on to you. The reason is that the Certica people don't know who to contact at each ESC, but I do. So I will, if someone from your ESC reaches out to Certica, then I will pass it on to you.
And then are they going to be marketing in the region? So will Certica be going out marketing the bank to districts?
Yeah, Certica will be involved with marketing. They go to trade shows. Jen Anderson, who is new to the team, knows a lot of people at a lot of districts. So she's going to be reaching out to them as well. And if they want to purchase it, then either she will reach out to you directly, or she will reach out to me, and I will pass her on to you, so that transaction can get started.
What do United might be better?
Back to the MOU, and keep the questions coming if you have them. The ESCs will be billed on a quarterly basis. This is different than what we have been doing recently with Edgefor and Teeks Bank, where we've been doing twice a year. Where we're doing one main bill and then a end of year bill. We're going to bill Certica on a quarterly basis. And I think those are really the high points that I wanted to mention before I get to the Advantage program. Any questions? Okay, so let's dive into the Advantage program. I took this text off of that price sheet, but it also came straight out of the MOU. And so the thought here is that, you know, if there's a district that that currently uses a competitive item bank, and they discontinue use of that, then they would be able to get to purchase Navigate at a much lower cost, and it's a cost that's very competitive with any of the other banks out there. It's actually better than any of the other banks out there, and we think that their items are super high quality too. So number one basically states if they don't currently have Navigate, then they qualify for this. Number two states that if they currently subscribe to a competitive item bank, or they did within the last 6 months, then they qualify for this. And lastly, they have to provide proof that they subscribe to a competing item bank. And they have to write a letter or provide proof that they are no longer purchasing that competitive bank. So what qualifies as a competitive item bank? It's defined as a subscription-based bank. It has to have 4 subjects. So it's not just a little one-off science bank or something like that. It has to have at least 10,000 items, that should say. And lastly, it's really at the ESC's discretion as what you want to qualify. We probably don't have an issue if it were a national bank, but there are some local banks, and I'll mention them. Region 1 and Region 7 both have banks that that you may be a part of. You may resell those, but it is really at your discretion if you want to include those in this or as a competitive bank. We do have it implicitly written that Teeks Bank does not qualify as one of the competitive item banks. So I did have an ESC reach out to me and said, hey, we participate in DMAC or Star One, and we feel that could be a violations of our licensing agreement. Then I say don't include those as a competitive item bank. So that one would not qualify for the Advantage program. So, this is a great opportunity for districts to get locked in to navigate at a super low cost of $1.60 or $1.50 per student. There's nothing they can buy on the market besides, our Teeks Bank that comes in at that low price point. Okay, so do we have any questions about the Navigate Advantage program? I pointed out that form that if you have a district that wants to qualify for this, you can have them fill out that form. In the form, let me pull that back up. Oh, it's going to make me sign in here. One moment. It's asking me to sign up because even though it's open to anyone who has the link, it asks them to upload files. And so it wants me to log into my Google Drive so that it can upload the file. Okay, so here's the form where the district will provide their contact info. And then it asks those questions to see if they would qualify. And then at the very bottom, it asks to add a file for proof that they subscribe to a competitive item bank, and that would be a copy of the contract or invoice, and a proof of cessation of the competitive item bank, which could be a copy of a commitment to cease or a letter from the district just confirming that they're not planning on renewing that competitive bank. There's also a place for notes if they have comments or questions. Okay, anyone have any questions about the Advantage program?
Can they decline to offer it?
So we did have a comment or a question. They said, can they decline to offer the Advantage program, I think is what the question is. That's fine if you want to decline offering that. I want to try to get the price as low as I can for my districts. So I will offer that to them because that's going to be a great savings for them, not only for this next year. This is not a 1 year low price. It is for as long as they have the bank. It's locked in at that price.
Question is,
TRS is also not considered a competitive bank. I will say that, you know, Certica was willing to, in the contract, put language in to say, or to rule out any ESC banks, any ESC supported banks or ESC banks. I've talked to several service centers, and they said, hey, just leave it in there, leave it up to the ESC to decide, because, you know, they thought that it might be an opportunity to get the district in at a lower cost if they weren't going to subscribe to a local bank. But it's really up to the ESC's discretion on what you want to do. We talked about the bundle pricing. And let me go back to that slide. Where was it? That was on the sheet, wasn't it?
yeah.
The bundle pricing is it's available to our districts if they want to purchase both Navigate and TeacsBank. If they buy both, they're going to get the lower cost for Navigate, and it is our desire that you offer TeacsBank at a discount to them also. We're going to discount ours by 10%. That's our desire, but you know, TeacsBank is your product to price and sell however you want. So if you do not want to lower your price on TeacsBank, you don't have to. But like I said, the nature of a bundle is to lower the cost for the districts. So we're going to lower it on both ends for ours. So on the student counts, someone is asking if Region 10 will provide the numbers. I would like for you to provide the numbers because you're going to have access to those ADA numbers. What we are using is we're going to use the PEAM snapshot for the most recent year. So the 17-18 snapshot just came out a few months ago. So that's the numbers that I would use for the 18-19 subscription. And we would remove any of the pre-K or the early education students from the count, because since there are no items related to those kids. So that's the way I would like you to handle that, is you just quote it. You know, we are probably not going to go verify it unless something just looks really out of whack. But I would ask for you guys to pull that from your PEAM snapshot, probably like you do for other products that you sell in the region. Any other questions?
Wait a second. No questions.
Okay, I think that that's it. I don't see any other questions. If you have any, please give me a call or shoot me an email. I'm glad to answer those. I am just really excited about this. Eduphoria and Certica are both excited as well. We think the timing is perfect for this. Just a lot of stars seem to align, and this is going to be a great benefit to our districts. As I said, you know, the price is a lot lower than it was previously, by probably 30% or so, and then the Advantage program would give them an option to get it a lot lower than that. So it's a high quality bank at a low price for our districts. And as I mentioned, they need more items. So now we have another option for them. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have any other questions, please let me know.